Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of my podcast, Is Breakfast Included? How you guys doing today? Great. Everyone's doing great. Today on the show, my guests are Brittany Elliott and Johnny Araya. Now, Brittany is a tattoo artist based out of San Antonio, Texas. We talked about that a little bit. Johnny is a former guitar tech who sometimes still techs, but is apprenticing as a tattoo artist as well. And we talked about that a little bit. But what we really did talk about was their shop called The Haunted Chapel. Now, Brittany and Johnny make these amazing enamel pins. They're all kind of original designs, and they sell them on their website. They also make these really cool, what we'll call heavy metal tables, and those are special order, one of a kind, and they're really amazing. We got into all that, how you can order them, how you can get them. We talked a little bit about being on the road, and we talked about Brittany's fascination with Lynyrd Skynyrd. It was a great conversation. Let's check it out. So, okay. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. My name is Brittany Elliott, and I am a 34-year-old tattoo artist from San Antonio, and currently live in San Antonio, but have lived all over.
I'm John Araya. I'm a ex-road guy, guitar tech, bass tech, and a current tattoo apprentice and musician and
great human.
Future WWE wrestling superstar.
Well, Brittany, when did you start tattooing?
So I started tattooing. It was probably about 2007. I was trying to get an apprenticeship since I was a kid, really, like 16 years old. My mom had just several tattoos. She wasn't like visibly tattooed like I am, like super heavily, but she had some pretty old school tattoos. And so she would take me in shops starting at I was like 13, and I really got enamored with tattoo shops. I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. And so I asked around town for apprenticeships, and they were all like, "Oh, you don't want to get into this, kid." So that made me more fascinated, right? So I started researching it, and one of my first jobs, I worked at Borders Books, and I came across this book called 1,000 Tattoos, and I saw these ladies that were like from the 20s, like circus ladies, all completely tattooed, like head to toe. One is named Betty Broadbent, and I fell in love. I couldn't get my mind off of wanting to look like that and live that lifestyle. And so I started when I was like 19, because it took me a while to get somebody to apprentice me. So long story short, 2007. So I've been tattooing half my life. I'm 34. So literally half my life.
Right on. And did you draw before that? Were you an artist before that? Like, did you grow up drawing? And
I did. I did all kinds of art, not really like tattoo style stuff until I got into that. But yeah, I painted, and I would try to do any kind of art I could. My mom was an artist too. She did more like black and gray realism, but she was always like sketching and stuff. When I was raised by my dad, but when I would see my mom, she always had, some new piece of art on the wall. So I was always really into that because of her. So that's pretty cool.
Were they super supportive of your chosen profession?
Yeah, my mom and dad they were both awesome. And my dad was old school rock and roll, so he supported whatever I wanted to do. You go for it. But my grandma, not so much. And she was very strict, just old school, wanted me to go be a doctor or lawyer, and couldn't believe it when I just dropped out of college for my apprenticeship. She was just mortified, poor thing. But I proved her wrong. Right. I just kind of carved my own path. And so they saw that.
No, I totally get that. I don't know if Johnny ever got this. My mom still doesn't think I have a real job. She thinks I'm just hanging out with my friends in the band.
Hey, you get both, right?
Are you Chandler Halderson?
Huh?
What?
Are you Chandler Halderson?
Who's that?
Chandler Halderson. He was this kid in Wisconsin who he murdered his parents and then chopped them up.
Johnny.
But before a year, he told him that he was working when he wasn't, and that he was in school for a year and he wasn't. So.
Bernie's got several real jobs, though.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Chopping up the parents is not one of them.
You're not a serial killer. Great.
That was very random, Johnny.
Yeah, that took a turn, didn't it?
Crazy.
So hey, after you started tattooing, we'll speed through this, but I do want people to know I've interviewed another tattoo artist, and everyone was really fascinated with him. You appeared on an Oxygen show called Best Ink.
I did.
How did that happen?
Okay, so that happened because this is a funny one. I was working a tattoo convention, which I did a couple times a year back in those days. And it was 2012. I worked the convention, and at conventions, you know, you walk up to the booth and people are getting tattooed live in person. And that's how you kind of find out about artists, look through portfolios. And so I was just working, and these ladies kept coming up, and I'd be like, you know, just myself, just, hey guys, what's up? If y'all are interested in getting tattooed, let me know, and check out my portfolio, give them some stickers, the usual deal. And they kept passing by my booth. And so eventually I was like, man, can I help you guys? And they were like, oh no, we want you to be on our TV show. And I was like, oh yeah, haha. I don't even own a TV. At that time I didn't. And they're like, oh, we've been watching you and you're funny and you do good tattoos. We want you to go on our show. I was like, well, take my card and talk to my agent, just messing with them. And they just kept calling the shop that I worked at, and my boss at the time was like, are you crazy? Why aren't you calling them back? But I honestly wasn't very interested in being on TV because I felt like that was kind of giving away our craft, you know, like it's kind of a sacred craft of tattooing that I really, you know, didn't not necessarily not agree with the shows, but I felt like it was taking some of the magic away from it and just putting a bunch of drama into the sacred craft of tattooing. And I didn't really want to do that. But they kept calling, and I finally was like, you know what? Maybe this is a sign. And my mom had just passed. So my mom told me before she died, she's like, Brittany, something is about to happen to you. Like, she was real spiritual and kind of felt energy and stuff. And so then I thought about my mom saying that, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go do this for my mom and just for me. And it was really fun. It was a really cool experience. So I'm glad I did. You know, you got haters and people talking shit that don't know you, and you just got to let that roll off your back because people don't know your story. But I think it was a really fun, cool, random thing to do. And they came to me and asked me. I didn't apply or audition or anything. So that was pretty cool.
Did it raise your profile as a tattoo artist once you were off the show?
Maybe, but I didn't really. So I immediately moved to Fort Worth, which is where I met you, of course, and started my shop. Because honestly, it was weird to me. Like I was having random people come up like, oh my God, you're Brittany from Best Ink. And that was really cool and endearing because it was mostly kids and stuff that looked up to me and wanted to do art and stuff. So that was rad. But then it kind of, it was like, I don't know. It gave me anxiety, I guess, maybe. And then they were like, we want you to come back. And I said no. And that, in hindsight, that's something I regret because I'm like, fuck, why did I miss that opportunity? But honestly, it gave me really bad anxiety to, like, you know, see myself on TV and be like, oh my God, how did they edit it? And then just, you know, I got sucked into reading comments about me or the show. And I'm just like, I don't want to do this. This isn't me. So I was like, I want to go back in my cave of records and art and music. So that's when I started the shop that I met you. So yeah, so I don't know. It's crazy. Like in hindsight, I'm like, man, I should have done this, could have done that. But hey, man, that's just what I felt at the time. But it was cool.
Yeah, it's a lot to put yourself out there like that. And like you said, you had those thoughts of like, what is it? Seeing what's behind the curtain with your craft. Yeah. But at the same time, like you said, these young kids coming up to you, talking to you, you're like opening up a whole new generation of cats that want to be tattoo artists.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And that's most of, like, I would say, I won't say fan base, but people that come get tattooed by me and stuff, they're like, man, my kid told me about you, or, you know, I watched you on the show. And I met so many awesome people, including some of my best friends. This one kid, John, that I tattoo here in town. And I mean, Johnny found me through Instagram, through looking at tattoos, just to, you know, get a tattoo. And then I've just met some of the best people through, I guess, from the show promoting me and just from hard work and doing what I love. So it's really awesome. Yeah.
That was my next question. How'd you guys meet?
Johnny, you want to tell him?
Yeah. So my brother's band announced that they'll be doing a final tour. And I thought to myself, man, wouldn't that be cool to get a tattoo to kind of commemorate that, you know, like, worked for the band my whole life, and I never got a Slayer tat. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll get one. I'll get I want to get the skull, the the original fan club skull, the Wehrmacht.
Yeah.
And so I went looking online. I typed in heavy metal tattoos, and there were some metal ones, but and then I saw this Megadeth tattoo. I thought, wow, that's rad. So I clicked on that and was looking at it, zoomed in, checked out the detail, rad. And then I clicked on the artist, which was Brittany. I'm like, whoa, this chick's metal, and she does tattoos. This is perfect. And she's a big Slayer fan. So I got in touch. I said, hey, I checked for Slayer. I wrote an email. I checked for Slayer.
It was a proper email.
Yeah,
I like that.
I checked for Slayer, and I want to know if you're available I want to set up an appointment to get a tattoo done. And that's pretty much how I found her. And she replied, and we set up a date. We met. We discussed a tattoo, and my tattoo appointment got stolen, so we had to rearrange things.
That's a whole other story.
My tattoo session got hijacked, so we had to set up another date. And then she came to town and tattooed me, and that's it.
Right on. That's so you guys hit it off right off the bat as friends, and
yeah, just as friends. Like, totally was like, man, this dude's like totally cool and chill. I was like, man, I wonder if he's married or something. And then, he went to Europe for the final tour. I just went back to work. And then hit him up maybe like a month later. One of us texted each other. Like, he was like, hey, I want another tattoo sometime. I might be coming to look at land in Texas and all this. I was like, cool, man, let me know. So then just a couple months later, we wound up just hanging out as friends again. And I was like, man, you're awesome. You're awesome. And then we just kind of never stopped hanging out and moved in together. Went and got all this stuff from California.
Well, right on. Why Texas, Johnny? Because she's here, or were you already looking in Texas?
I had looked in Texas prior, years ago, and Texas was always the state that I wanted to be in because of the freedom, I guess.
Because you work for the Misfits, and Texas is the reason.
The freedom, like the freedom that you carry arms, like you can. They believe in the Second Amendment. They're just, they're their own country. Texas is a country, and it fascinated me.
It's like King Diamond loves it.
And the history, everything about it is just really. Just attracting, and I've been to Texas many times on tour, had days off and shows and stuff, and always liked Texas. It was just always fun, and people were always real, So so I moved down here to Texas. I love it.
Right on. Well, we've already established that you were teching for Slayer. Are there any other bands you ever worked for?
Oh yeah, many bands over the years. Started with Slayer back in the day, and then I did Danzig for a little while in the beginning, and then
he has an amazing Danzig story. If we get to that, oh my God, it's incredible.
You can tell me that anytime. You can say, I got this great story about Danzig.
Oh my gosh, this one is going to be in the book. So if you're not listening, you better buy the book someday.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny story.
You gonna tell him? Or tell him all the bands first. I'm sorry to interrupt.
So then it was Danzig. I did System of a Down for a little bit. I worked with Lou Reed for a little while. I did Kitty for a little while. I did MSI. Did Machine Head for a little bit. Misfits. I've been doing some Misfits gigs.
Yeah.
So that's about it.
No, yeah. And Glenn still.
Yeah, I'm still working. I still do one-offs with Danzig. He does a show here and there, and I'll come in and work with him.
Right. So you're still teching, but are you moving into tattooing?
Yeah, I'm not going on the road. Like, I won't go on tour anymore because that's just, I don't think it's worth it right now.
Yeah.
It's just what the climate is. Anything can get shut down in any second, and then you're out of a job, and you're out of a gig on tour. You don't get severance, man. The guy's just like, hey, good luck finding another job.
Yeah. So long.
So you know that. You know what I mean. You did the thing I do. So yeah, I'm done with that. So I'm staying home. I'll do one-offs with bands if they have like a one-off or two.
Yeah.
Pretty much just heading towards tattooing. I want to really. I'm interning with apprenticing with Britt at the shop, and she showed me so much stuff, and I'm still practicing.
How's he doing, Brittany?
Very good. He's very modest, which is awesome, but he's very humble. But everyone's like, hurry up and tattoo me. I'm ready. He's like, let me practice a little more, but he's doing awesome.
Does it help to be an artist, to be a tattoo artist, Brittany, or is it something that you can learn?
It's definitely something you can learn, like a technician, like I guess like being a tech, learning how to play guitar, learning how to be a plumber or electrician. Like it is a skill to use the machinery and, you know, just how everything works. However, if you are an artist and you're working in a shop and somebody comes in and says, hey, I want this, this, and this, you're able to just quickly sketch it up. Whereas somebody who's not is really going to struggle with that and have to, you know, search the internet all night for reference and piece all the reference together. And so, yeah, it definitely comes in handy and makes your life a lot easier if you kind of have a concept of drawing, for sure.
Okay. And what do you classify your style as?
What would you say? I guess
it's very, very traditional.
I guess kind of like traditional, but I use more than just like old school traditional colors. So maybe like neo-traditional, but yeah,
very traditional based tattooing.
New modern classic.
With their own style to it.
Yeah.
I guess you could say. But still traditional.
I follow Brittany for a while, and whenever she posts pictures of her tattoos, they're always so they pop, to use a word that the kids are using now. They really pop.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I just try to do like just really clean line work. The people that taught me were just like, you can't have a good tattoo without a good outline. If you look at a tattoo and it has a shit outline, it affects the whole the way you see the whole tattoo, whether it's colored right, so gotta have a clean outline and bright colors and some black shading and got a good tattoo. So try to give the people what they want, but do everything too.
Is it the old saying, the bold will hold?
Yes, absolutely. Right. Bold and bright.
That's right.
Let's talk about the Haunted Chapel, man.
Oh, spooky.
Dun, dun, dun.
Tell
me all about that.
Well, Haunted Chapel is a online, it's a little store, a little business that Britt and I started because, touring was done. And this whole
the virus kind of shut our industries down.
Yeah. We couldn't go on tour, so we started this little company. And
our friends had my friend up in Austin has a company that makes these kick-ass enamel pens, and he's like, hey, if you guys ever want anything made, and I'm like, hell yeah, I have tons of drawings and designs, and Johnny had some too, and we just wound up making some pens, and people liked them, so we started making more and more. And we just kind of it's just random little DIY punk rock designs, stickers and pins and shirts. But hopefully we'll get to a larger level of making cooler shit.
Like pillows and towels.
My pillow.
Well, I tell you what, I really like, because you guys come out with some really cool enamel pens, and every time I get one, I think this is the last one, and then you guys come out with something even cooler. And you guys can attest, I have almost all of them.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Yeah. Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for entering our giveaway. So that's another thing is like with the pens, I was like, hey, why don't we just now we're gonna start giving a giveaway ticket to people that buy pens, because then we have so many posters. It's like, man, let's make furniture and just do giveaways. So it's like frequent flyer. You buy shit, you get more chances to win. And luckily, everybody that's won has seemed pretty grateful. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And these raffle tickets they're for these tables that you make.
Yes, all from scratch.
You find these old tables.
Yeah.
And then you just work your magic with them. And
pretty much wave the Harry Potter wand and go crazy. Yeah.
I'm sure it's not that easy.
No, Johnny actually is such a blessing in my life with the table making, because he's very, being a tech, he's so technical. And I kind of would just, I would lightly sand and stuff, but he really takes the hardware off and really put some TLC into the prepping of the tables, and then I go crazy with the paint. So
yeah, you know what it's like to get a guitar. You just have to detail it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. It's like, man, I got to make sure everything's tightened. I got to make sure everything's cool.
I'm like, no, it's fine.
Everything's clean. The hardware
She
looks
turns the
good.
screw a couple of times. It's okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just make sure everything's tightened. Nothing,
So they're better
nothing
than ever.
loose.
Yeah. We just finished a really cool Slayer one out of a Rain and Blood poster he had from back then.
Yeah.
We went to his parents' house and he found a bunch of his old posters and stuff. So we're making a couple Slayer tables to raffle off and give away. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they come out great.
You used to sell these tables. Do you still sell them?
Yeah, I do. Just depends on who wants one and what their budget is, because it really, for me to take the time away from tattooing to make these, sometimes it takes me, a week to really start to finish. It just has to be kind of worth my while, or for friends,
And they're all
friends.
one of a kind, right?
Exactly. And I know that later people will be like, oh, well, this is, they could resell it or whatever for a lot more than I charge them. And most of the time I break even when it comes to supplies and labor, but it's all worth it because it's a labor of love. They're so cool. It's like building up a portfolio. So
yeah.
that's rad. Yeah.
Who's the most famous person that ever bought a table?
Ooh. Cool. I'm not sure. I don't know that anyone famous has really bought one for me. Let me think. Killjoy from Necrophagia got a really cool. He was the singer of Necrophagia, who's unfortunately since passed away. R.I.P. He was really good guy. They came and did an in-store at the old shop with Venom Inc. And he bought my Black Sabbath table. It was a big purple table. You may have remembered it. It had like the two like higher up drawers on the side, like very retro, like mid-century table. But
I remember it.
Yeah, that one was cool. And then the guys from Death Angel, Will wanted that one, and he was like, "Fuck, can we fit it in the trailer?" Ted, fit that in the trailer. It'll be in 1,000 pieces. So that was funny. But then, so Killjoy wound up getting that one. But
Jeremy Wagner's kind of famous.
Oh yeah, Jeremy Wagner.
You got a table from me.
Jeremy's gotten 2 tables from me.
Tables,
so yeah, Jeremy is a really awesome metalhead / author friend of ours, and
guitarist for Broken Hope.
Yeah, and he also is my long lost twin, because his favorite bands are Slayer and Leonard Skinner, and he invited us to his kick-ass museum of memorabilia, and he owns like Ronnie Van Zant's jacket and stuff, just stuff that I can't even believe you're in the same room. So that was an honor to make something for Jeremy. He got a Jeff Hanneman table from me, and Iron Maiden Killers for his stepson.
Right on.
Yeah,
I have a friend that has Ronnie's mic.
OMG. Wow. Amazing.
He has it in his studio. I don't know. Anyway, it's a long story of how he got it, but he got it legitimately too.
That is so cool.
Speaking of Leonard Skinner, like, you're considered a metal girl, a metalhead, metal tattoo artist, but you're obsessed with Leonard Skinner.
Yes, I am.
Where does that obsession come from?
Well, a few reasons, I guess, mainly because my dad was obsessed with him, and my dad was just my hero in life. I think he was just the greatest, and he was always playing the records. We always had records in the house, playing records. And so, like, even in some of my first photos where I'm like 7 or 8 years old, there's Leonard Skinner records on the floor next to me and stuff. So he was just always playing them, and my dad was always, kind of bouncing around the house and playing air guitar. My dad played drums, so he was always like air drumming or something. But Skinner to me is really it's the message. Like, it's like about simple life and being a good person. And if you really listen to the deep cuts, it's like, wow, this guy really had it figured out before humans kind of complicated everything. And you listen to some of those lyrics, and sometimes I get choked up. Like, there's a couple songs that are just really, really in tune with my life. And I feel like it's the message more than anything to me. It's like, wow. There's a song, Was I Right or Wrong, for example. And Ronnie's talking about he wanted to go out and make something of himself. And all he found when he came home was 2 tombstones. Somebody tell me, please, was I right or wrong? And I feel that way because I came back home all these years later from bouncing all over the place and owning a shop and just working everywhere, and both my parents are gone. So that's something that I struggle with. So I was like, wow, this guy gets it. And this was written before I was born. So just a lot of similarities in the lyrics to my life.
Wow. That's pretty deep. That's pretty deep.
Yeah, and that's just one of like several songs I feel that way about. Like, I'm like, wow, this is my life story. Cry for the Bad Man, being one, talking about, just things that have happened in my life that I won't go into detail. Just like with the old shop and stuff. I'm like, wow, that's me. That's my life. So I just find similarities in certain bands. Soundgarden is another band I'm really in tune with. I love them. It's one of my favorite bands ever.
Soundgarden rules.
Yeah. So I have like the most Skinnerd and Soundgarden records. Like I have like a cubby hole of each. And they're both S's. So a lot of
right next to each other. Just go from one to the other.
Right.
It's crazy. I love Leonard Skinner, man. Growing up, like everything about him, I dug.
Yeah. So you get it. You understand. So many people, I Skinnerd. I'm like, you got to dive deep into the records. And if you relate, great. If not, I guess that's good too.
Yeah, it's okay if you just know the hits. It's cool.
Right.
As long as you're listening.
But I'll try to school people like, man, you got to listen to Give Me Back My Bullets and Cry for the Bad Man. And people are like, okay.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys have coming up?
Well, we have a tattoo convention coming
up in March.
I haven't worked a tattoo convention in so long because of the dang COVID taking over everybody's lives and just everybody being so cautious about their health. And obviously that's a close proximity setting with a lot of people. So they waited a while to bring back the one that I always work here in San Antonio. My old boss runs it, and that's the first weekend of March. We're doing that. And then we're going to take off and go to Florida and work at my friend's tattoo shop out in Cape Coral, or Fort Myers. I guess they're around, it's kind of like dual cities. They're right next to each other, but we're going to go work out there for a while and see what Florida is like, because my friend has a shop there and needs some help, and we're just going to soak up the island vibes. Johnny likes the beach, so we got invited to work, so we're going to go hang out.
Right on. And when can we expect Johnny to start slinging some ink? Is that a term? Do I sound cheesy when I say that?
I'm waiting whenever he's ready. I have a client getting tattooed next week, the day after the obituary show, that says, Johnny, I'm ready. So Johnny drew it up.
This guy wants a Twisted Sister logo.
That'd be a great one.
So that would be my second tattoo.
All right. Well, man, when I'm ready, I'm going to come down to San Antonio.
Heck yeah.
Come on down, man. I'll tattoo your face.
Stage right. That's each other's faces.
Put a big upside down cross in the middle of your forehead between your eyes.
What is up tonight?
Going down into my nose, right?
Just looks so black metal.
No, we'll do a big honk on you.
Oh, that's
Vinnie Vincent, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have listened to my podcast, but it's called Is Breakfast Included?
Awesome.
Mm.
If breakfast was included, what would you guys have?
Ooh. Okay, I'm an egg freak, so any type of eggs. I just love eggs. Just bacon and eggs. You're a pancake guy, huh, Johnny?
I would get a stack of flapjacks, maple syrup, and a big jug of coffee. I'd be happy.
My man, I'm a pancake guy.
Yeah.
Love pancakes.
Where can people find you online?
They can find us at thehauntedchapel.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find Brittany and her artwork, her tattoos and everything on bztattoo.com.
Yeah, pretty much. And they kind of link to each other too. We do all of our own, all of our own website, social media, drawing, tattooing, and it's just the two of us. So if we take a day or two to get back to people, we will. It just sometimes takes a minute between being at the shop and everything. But yeah, thehauntedchapel.com pretty much has all of our cool stuff, and bztattoo.com has all of my examples of some tables and a shit ton of my tattoos. So check them out.
Cover up work, which is awesome.
I fixed a lot of bad tattoos.
Yeah.
And
that links to all your like Instagram and TikTok and all that.
I don't have I'm kind of a cave woman, which I really wish I had more time to be on the phone all the time to network more, but it's just at BZ Elliott on everything. And I think site links to it, but I need to double check that.
We know that the Haunted Chapel website links to our Haunted Chapel Instagram.
You can find us on there.
And then from there, you could find me or Britt easily. We're on there. We're like the top. We're up there. So, you can find us online.
Cool, man. Well, Guys, I appreciate your time tonight. I know you're busy, and it took a little bit to get this done, but I appreciate you giving me your time.
Hey, we appreciate you too. And
Yeah,
Johnny's starting a podcast as well. So hopefully we can return the favor and have you on one of his first episodes, maybe.
Man, I'd love to do it.
Yeah, you're a tech.
Especially if he's going to tell that Danzig story that he so conveniently forgot to tell.
Hey,
well, dude, you
got time?
You were for Duran Duran, man. Like, I love Duran Duran. They were just the ultimate pop band. They had that shit down. They had the videos, the small films. They're like epic little films, epic little movies, Yeah. And they were huge, and they wrote great songs.
Well, I'm sure we'll make it to San Antonio once touring resumes.
You got it.
Right on, everyone. Brittany Elliott and Johnny Araya of The Haunted Chapel. You can find them at thehauntedchapel.com. It'll link you to her tattooing, their tables, all that good stuff. All right, guys, I'm done. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.